Hello, hello. You know what time it is. It's Thursday, baby. We out here talking that tech. Of course, it's me, Deron, Dr. Digital. I'm also here with my boy Chris.
What up, what up, what up?
Got a very special guest tonight, my man JV. I'm really excited for everybody to meet him. We like backstory. We met at a Ninja Turtles movie. Yes, 30 plus. We were in line with kids watching Ninja Turtles animated movie. It was great. I enjoyed it. I hope he enjoyed it. I think we all did. The
Yeah,
the the
I've heard good
80s
things.
babies and us were very very happy.
I've heard good things
banger
about it,
soundtrack.
actually.
Yeah, look,
Yes,
if you go into that movie and you don't like the soundtrack, I don't want to be friends with you. I'm just gonna
agreed.
say it. I'm I'm
Agreed. It
ju-
was
I'm just
great.
gonna set the bar right there. Like the bar to be friends with me is to appreciate that soundtrack. The
I
good news is I think it's a
crazy.
low bar, right? Like it's a
Right.
killer soundtrack. It's a
I mean, it has
banger.
some Wu-Tang in there if I remember.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anybody that knows me knows I love the Wu. So I'm with JV on this one for sure.
Yeah.
So we're really excited because JV is our first kind of guest that isn't from Colorado. I met him out here in Texas from a friend that I met in Colorado. So it's kind of cool and exciting to be have him on here because it's also a little bit different. Because JV comes from the FGC, but he also works in the FGC, which we don't hear a lot of. So I think it's something that Chris and I are actually just really excited
Oh,
to
yeah.
kind of hear ourselves as well because people that know us know we run tournaments. We're always there. Like people say, it's like if you're trying to make money, you wouldn't be in the FGC. So it's rare to have somebody in here that actually does make a living doing FGC stuff. So I'm gonna give the floor to JV. He can kind of explain to us. I kind of want to know. Fun question I always have is like, where did you start? Like, what got you into fighting games, and then kind of give us a pathway to where you are now. In FGC.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like I don't know. My start is probably the same as everybody's start in that I had some cousins. When I was a kid, right? We had a Nintendo 64. That was the first console that our family ever owned, right? Um, I was born in 1990, so I was probably around like the age of like 7 or 8 when we got it. Big formative,
Born in the
big
90s.
formative. Born in ugh,
Just
ugh.
barely though.
All right, I guess I'm a child on this podcast. Cool. But yeah, so definitely a very formative time for me. It was a situation where my folks definitely didn't have like a lot. I was a first gen immigrant kid. Um, and so it was a lot of going to Blockbuster to get used games, if anybody remembers that.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go. But is that
Yep.
acceptable
That's
now?
Yeah,
Was
no,
I
acceptable.
able to
Like
redeem
I said,
myself
if
a
you're 90,
Blockbuster
I'll give you
meme?
just,
he
I
just barely
prefer
missed
I
the
prefer
cutoff.
8, but I'll do it a 90. That's okay.
All right,
I'm
all
married
right.
to a 92, so it's okay.
Oh, there you go. The 90s, it's
She'll take
different,
care of me in
man.
my old age.
But yeah, so I had some cousins who lived in Seattle. We lived back then in the Pacific Northwest in a town called Vancouver, not to be confused with Vancouver, Canada, but Vancouver, Washington.
Hmm, hmm.
And we would spend, things like the summers and certain holidays up there with our cousins up in Seattle. And they would always have the newest games, right? We'd go to our cousins during the summer, we'd find some new game, fall in love with it, come back and say, hey, can we get this game? And my folks would say the same thing. If you get all A's on your report card, we'll get it to you for Christmas, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
been there.
and one of those trips up, I was introduced to a game that I feel like genuinely changed the trajectory of my life, and that was Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. Um, I played this game. My cousins destroyed my brother and I. It wasn't even close. We didn't know what we were doing, but we both just fell in love almost immediately. It was unlike any other game that I had ever played before. Um, and so right on cue, when we got home, we were saying, "Hey, can we get this game?" Right on cue, my folks said, "Hey, if you get all A's, then we can get you this game." And yeah, I guess my brother and I did okay, and ended up going to Blockbuster and getting our copy of Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. And like everybody that's probably listened to this podcast that is a competitor, we went through all the stages, right? You beat your cousins first, and you're like, I'm the best in the world. You beat your neighborhood friends, I'm the best in the world, right? We had that kind of moment. I guess the difference was every time we've met somebody that was kind of like us, that's like, I've never lost in this game. I could beat everybody. My brother and I kept beating them. And because we didn't have like a ton of money, we had the Nintendo 64 for a long time. Like, I mean, a long time. My brother and I were playing Smash like, between ourselves all the way up to like 2008, 2009, right?
Ooh.
Right before I was graduating high school, Um, and so we really got our reps in on that front. And so eventually, when we were both in college, we kind of discovered the tournament scene separately, but it was okay because, even though we weren't super duper good like tournament wise, we did very very good early on. I think my first tournament I got something like third place, and my brother got second place.
Woo.
To somebody who had been playing the game for a lot longer, knew a lot more tech, knew more matchups than just Falcon v Falcon or Falcon Kirby or Falcon Pikachu, which is what my brother and I would run often. And so we just kind of got bit by the bug and kept going, more and more into it. My brother eventually fell off from it, but I was a bit more gung-ho about it. Eventually, some of my other friends in college who were competitive in games like Melee and Project M saw how good I was in 64 and said, dude, like, if you if you took these other games seriously, I think you'd do pretty well for yourself. There's a lot more tournaments for like these newer games. And so being in college, I did what I would normally do, which is go on YouTube and study, right?
Yeah.
And so this was really cool for me because it was the first time that I discovered bigger tournaments, right? Really big tournaments that had broadcast components to it and things like that. And it was the first time that I heard commentary for Smash. And I remember thinking to myself, this is such a pipe dream. But if I ever had a chance to do this, I feel like I would have a ton of fun. I know I'll never have a chance to do this, but I feel like I'd have a really good time doing it. And the cards just kind of aligned in a way where I was very fortunate that the largest broadcast org for Smash Brothers in the South is a group called Tourney Locator. They had relocated to a new venue, which was 5 minutes away from the townhome that I was living in at the time. And I had a friend who was friends on Facebook with their director of content strategy, this guy, Sean Horn. And out of the blue, I DM'd Sean. I said, hey, like, I seen you're doing commentary. I know you have this thing with Tourney Locator. I'd love as much info as you can give me. And he was just so generous with his knowledge and everything like that from a behind the scenes standpoint. And he said, hey, why don't you swing by FX sometime? We'll talk, and maybe if I like what I hear, I'll put you on for a game or two. And so I showed up with a buddy of mine, Nabil Pervez. He goes by Neptune FGC. Him and I had met at a house party a couple weeks prior and just clicked immediately, right? Sometimes you meet these people and you form these instant connections, and Nabil was definitely one of them, right?
That's like, I met Chris in college, and it was literally like he stood up and was like, "Oh, I'm going to Evo." And I was like, in my mind, it literally like immediately was like, I need to be friends with this person.
Yeah.
Literally,
The rest is
next
history
class,
kind of thing.
we were on break, Illustrator class, and I was watching Third Strike matches on our break, and he came up to me, he's like, so you play fighting games?
Yeah, it was instant, bro. Because I've always been interested in them, but I was never like good at them. I was like you described earlier, like best on the block. Like, we were playing with the friends, and like, I was the best player. And like, I remember we were all just button mashing, and then we had that one friend that could like actually land combos, and we were like, kind of thing. So I completely get where you're coming from, where you're like, I started at my cousin's, I got mopped for years, and then eventually I was mopping my cousins, kind of thing. So
no, definitely. And it's I think two things. One, I can touch on it more, but like the growth that you have when you have the right mindset for fighting games, of like, I don't know, I called it mentors and rivals, and I would always try to grind to the point where like I could beat my rivals, and eventually my mentors would become my rivals because of that continuous growth. To me, is just the coolest thing ever. It's just the best thing ever, and I feel like it's a mindset that y'all will probably empathize with, where it's now like permeated far beyond fighting games, right? And I feel like I kind of carry it with me as a competitor day to day, right? But we can touch on that later. I'm glad that y'all also had that. Did we just become best friends? Yup moment,
pretty much.
Yeah,
15,
literally.
20 years later,
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are on the podcast.
So anyways, me and Nabil show up to this thing, and I'm very, very confident that I will maybe have 2 seconds on the mic before a white hook comes off screen and pulls me away, right? But I guess they really liked me because when I thought I'd be there for 3 minutes, they ended up keeping me on for 3 hours straight. And I ended up closing out the night the first time that I ever casted. And then from there, it was really like this crazy snowball. I was just casting because I wanted this, turning locator to do a Smash 64 event because that's the scene that I actually came from, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll just keep showing up and maybe they'll eventually throw a tournament,
So when you say showing up, where was it at?
It was at FX Game Exchange, still a revered spot for all things Smash Brothers in Texas.
Okay, in Texas. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Plano.
Okay.
So,
Oh yes,
yeah.
I've been there. Yeah, is it by Madness?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know exactly what we're talking about. That's
Exactly.
funny. I had no idea that was. I've been there and everything. Had no idea.
It's a great story. Like even if you go during the day, but if you go, on certain nights, like it is popping. I remember when Smash
Wow.
Ultimate released, they had like some of the biggest weeklies in the world. We're talking like 300 people showing up for a weekly, man.
shit.
It was crazy, dude. Yeah.
I had no idea. I've been to the store. I've been to Madness several times. I literally went over there because I was like, oh, video game store. And I go to almost if there's a video game store within walking kind of range, I'm like, I'll go check it out. And that's what I did. I had no idea that like, all right, that's dope.
No, they are literally the mecca of Smash Brothers in the South. It is
Wow.
unbelievable. Yeah. And the owner, Trey Fondren, like legitimately would not be in this industry without that dude and his support. He's just the best. Just a super real dude. Like the godfather of Smash down here.
Yeah.
Man. He's awesome.
That's awesome. And that's probably my favorite thing. Like neither of us play Smash. I play Smash like for fun. I every time a new one comes out, I pick it up, I play it. We used to do little tournaments at GameStop and stuff like that, but like I could never play it competitively because that game is actually stupid difficult. If you've never played Smash, you think it's very simple because there's like 4 buttons on a GameCube controller and then some triggers, and you're like, I got this, bro. And then you're doing like micro hops and wave dashes and all sort. It is a lot. So, I'm happy to hear kind of like your insight behind it, kind of thing. So it's cool to see it from a different perspective because Chris does commentary as well.
Oh, nice.
So I would love to.
I do
get you
too
guys
much.
on a commentary
Honestly,
together.
I honestly do too much because I like this is actually funny because one of my we'll get into it, but clearly it's like how you transition from how do you stop be trying to reach the distance to be like I'm playing it's so funny when you talk about how fighting games get you in other things. I'm literally learning how to use Excel functions because I want to automate my spreadsheets because I'm tracking my MR and Street Fighter 6 to be like, okay, how many points did I gain, and okay, what did I learn today, and my goal's this. And at the same time I'm like, at the same time though, I'm trying to get on the mic, but at the same time, I'm probably going to be in top 8, so I can't be on the mic well enough to get a good rail. It's like, you got to at some point make the decision, and I still have not made the decision because I'm like, I get too close. I see that flash of greatness. I'm like, if I could just get to that point and maintain that, it's like, it's so hard to like, not just be like, okay, I'm just going to get on the mic and just I'm going to do all day.
I think commentator in itself is like, it's a skill. Like, I don't think people realize how difficult it is. Like, I can do podcasts and I could talk with the homies all day, but you get into like a match and there's just the speed. It's a different like level. And you can kind of tell, you watch a few people do like matches or do commentary and you're like not high level commentators, but like you watch a few streams and you're like, dude, it's a skill set to be able to commentate to that like level. Like we have a guy in our, the moonmarauders community that like, all I want him to do is commentary because he's just godlike at it. Or like he's a great player too, but like I'm like, dog, I just need you to commentate.
And he's made that he's made that transition too, where he'll like, I'm not playing today. Like, and he's one of the most. He is a lab monster. And
dude, absolutely.
And
I sat next to him at Evo one year, and he was talking about Tekken, and I was just like, my man, please. Like, I know you love Tekken, but like, I don't need to know individual frames and things of that nature. Where like, I don't play Tekken to that level. Like, I appreciate it. It's dope.
And every game he plays is just a crazy lab monster. But he's like, somehow he has it in him to just like, I'm just gonna commentate, and I will commentate, but also my pool's up, and I gotta
trying to go throw some hands.
No,
Kimberly just got buffed. I can't just stop now.
I could probably talk, I think, at great lengths of my thoughts on commentary in general, right? But I will leave you with this and take it as you will. I think good commentators do a good job of sounding really great on the mic, and great commentators do an amazing job of making the person next to them sound amazing.
Yeah.
There is this really well, it's really cool for me, especially whenever I was a caster, and by default, since throughout my career I started in Smash and then went on to cover like a dozen different titles. You can't be like you can't be super technical on like a dozen different titles, right? I was the Pareto principle, get me that critical 20 that gets me 80% of the way, play by play guy, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're in a position like that, very often I would be paired with, and I loved being paired with people that were deeply analytical about that game and that game alone, right? They maybe didn't have the presentation chops that I had accrued from casting as many different titles and things like that, but I knew that they were just a wellspring of knowledge, and so it was really fun, setting up as like a playmaker and just setting them up in really cool ways to alley-oop and do an absolute slam dunk, and be that bridge between a very technically proficient viewer and an audience member who's tuning in for the first time, right? Like, it's awesome.
And I think that's part
really
of the commentator's responsibility. Like, I'm a big wrestling fan. I don't watch as much as I used to, like WWE type wrestling.
Yeah.
And you get with like, you watch wrestlers that are exactly that. Like Bret Hart is known for like, oh, you can take a wrestler who's not the best wrestler, but he made him look amazing, kind of thing. And that's kind of what commentary is. And people don't think about that because like I play Overwatch. So for example, you play Overwatch, and if you play Overwatch, you understand what's going on. But like, if you've never played Overwatch, like trying to get my parents to sit down and like understand Overwatch, it's not going to happen, bro. But like fighting games, they can, because you just have life bars and you're like, whoever gets knocked out first wins. That's it. Like compared to like Overwatch, where there's 5v5 and there's a ton of shit going on the screen and things of that nature. So I completely agree with the commentated thing, and I also think that is a hard thing to balance too, because you get those people that are so technically involved and they don't understand. They're like, dude, I need you to reel it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because you and the other 25% of the people that are into it like that are appreciating this, but the local person that's just hopping on to watch the stream, they're not, on the same level.
Yeah, exactly.
And it takes some time to get used to that, and it's harder now, especially because there's not as many spots to try to really hone your craft. You kind of just got to figure out how to do it yourself. Like for a long time, I had issues. Not I won't say dumbing down, but not inserting myself in the situation. I'm thinking as a player, so I'm like, okay, here, and then I'm like, oh, why'd you do? And it low key, it feels like I'm talking down on the player, because I'm like, well, why would you do that? And I had to over time, because we were all we had when we were running our own tournaments. We were all we had to commentate. So yeah, I got practice, and I was able to slowly get out of that. I had to apologize. You remember we ran some tournament at the lounge, and I had to apologize to the Persona players because I was on the mic, the house mic, talking shit about the game, commentating on it, and they came up to me, it's like, hey, that wasn't cool, and I was like, you know what? You're right. That's not cool. I had to apologize to Persona players because I was the one who wasn't in, who was most knowledgeable, therefore I could commentate. I did not like the game, and I let everyone know it, and the whole venue could hear me talking shit about the game as I'm commentating grand finals.
Yeah.
So
it's hard too, though, because I mean, like, that's not like FGC is a very passionate area.
Yeah.
And that's like probably my favorite thing about Smash. Like, I wish the FGC could do what like Smash does, and what I mean by that is the Smash fan base is so loyal, and like, I tell people all the time, like Street Fighter V, for example, a lot of people didn't like Street Fighter V, and it was like, so why are we playing it? No one says we have to play this game. And you go and you watch people like Melee, or games like Melee, and it's like, dude, this game's been around for 20 years and it still has this awesome turnout, and like
become ST basically, where it's always,
and just to have,
it's there,
and
it's
like,
always there.
Like he said, 300 people for locals, like kind of thing. And this is not even like, I mean, of course, like big tournaments get numbers, things like that, but then you want to see like passion. Go watch Smash, and you see like locals getting 100+ people and stuff like that for like, it was a random Thursday. We came out like You know, kind
It's
of
yeah.
thing. And that's so awesome to see.
Like we just
Yeah,
started here in Colorado, Aki. Just Street Fighter 6 is where we first started. We just now started getting like consistent 90 plus, 100 plus
oh,
brackets
that's
for the
great.
Yeah.
monthlies. But of like Aki's been around for what 5, 6 years. All of us have been playing Street
Yeah,
Fighter all these
longer than
years.
that.
I'm like as of September, I have been doing this for 20 years, and now we're just now doing this where we're like getting these numbers. And like Smash was
Yeah.
getting 300 for a weekly.
Yeah, because Aki is the Akihabara. It's a bar in
just
Denver.
so happened to wear this today
Like
too.
it's really cool because it's a bar, but it also has arcade, and they run
Yeah.
like locals and stuff there.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it is that, but like shit, because I've been in Texas almost 8 years now, and Aki was there before I moved to Texas, so it
Okay,
has to
so
be going on almost 10 years
oh
now. So
jeez. Okay, yeah, it's
yeah,
been here best arcade in the Western Hemisphere. Jazzy
Yeah.
finale coming up in a couple weeks, y'all.
Hey, I'm just gonna say it. Support your locals.
Third Strike
wherever you are.
25-year
completely agree.
anniversary.
Yeah.
So you came from commentary. So what was after commentary? Because for people
Yeah.
that don't know, you work in esports. You've worked with some big companies. I mean, you worked with Panda, you're with, Evo now. So like give me kind of like your path that was after commentary.
Yeah. So I guess like the path after commentary is very much tied to a bit of the journey after college for me, right? So after I graduated college, I was working an enterprise software sales job for a big tech company, right? And the path was very much laid out for me in regards to, okay, like if you do this, you could have a very lucrative career, blah blah blah. And at the same time, I had my moonlighting as a caster, right? Going to places like FX, and then eventually traveling throughout the country for events and things like that. And it was a situation where I had like financial stability and a very clearly laid out future on one hand, and the total opposite of that on the other hand. And I made a decision that I would not recommend to anyone listening, which is I just quit my full-time job and just
Oh,
decided to do casting full-time and see what would happen if I just vagabonded, for lack of a better word, in this space for a bit. Um, and so it was one of those situations where I was very fortunate, where over time it did work out. I had all of these different connections from all these different communities and all these games. Um, and I had built this very weird resume, and essentially what it landed me, thanks to the support of my wife, who urged me to, like, once again leave the full-time rat race and jump into gaming full-time, and after we had gotten married and everything like that. Um, it took me to DreamHack, where DreamHack was looking for a marketing manager. I think one of the reasons why I got that role was because DreamHack is not an event that is tied or anchored to just one gaming IP,
mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
most esports events, if it's a Counter-Strike event, it's just Counter-Strike. If it's a Rocket League event, it's just Rocket League, right? If it's Smash event, maybe you'll see a couple other fighting games, but you're not going to see, Overwatch there.
Right, right.
DreamHack was a unique beast because it was a celebration of all things gaming. And so even though my resume didn't have the word marketing in any of the titles that I had held, I was very fortunate that that team over there gave me a chance. And it was a really incredible job. The first proper job that I had in gaming, salary and benefits, the whole 9 yards. Um,
Dream.
I was
Boy, I'd be on Hitmaker applying like just, let's see what happens.
yeah.
Let's
No,
see what happens.
it's really tough, and it's definitely tougher now than it was back then too. But I was just super lucky. Honestly, I got really, really lucky. Big shout outs to folks like Anna Nordlander, Bas Cool, Justin Burnham, who took a chance on me way back then. Wouldn't be where I am in the industry without those folks either. So amazing job, amazing job in 2019, right? I was part of the team that helped, open up the first DreamHack Dallas event. If you go back to the ribbon cutting festival, the ribbon cutting ceremony for that event, you'll see me on the very side.
Nice.
Yeah, with the yeah, it was
I
an
still
awesome
haven't gone to
time.
DreamHack. I missed it because it was just here, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
when
here
you were
like
when you were up here.
And I missed it because I was in Colorado.
Yeah.
So, because Nick was trying to get me to go, and I was just like, dude, I want to go. We were gonna go because they did like the Overwatch thing, and then they announced this like Street Fighter tournament, and it was part
And
of
we
the
weren't
big
paying
esports
attention because
thing, and
otherwise we would have been like, yeah, let's go. We'll just stay at Duran's couch. We would have definitely
Yeah.
gone.
because it
And
was literally 25 minutes from my house, and it was just like I already committed to driving my kids out to Colorado, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna see friends and family, and it's like, of course.
Yeah.
So I missed DreamHack, and all these huge players were out here, and I felt some kind of way. I was kind of
Yeah.
I got to see my friends and family, which I was super grateful for. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast that week. It was a good time, but like I saw this like the Street Fighter 6 entries, and I was just like, bruh.
Yeah, it was a ludicrously stacked bracket for
Yeah.
sure.
It was so
good.
to be like,
So
someone hit me.
good.
I didn't even know. Someone hit me up. It's like, hey, I need Kimberly practice. I'm going to DreamHack. I'm like, okay, cool. And they were like, they were visiting their family in Oklahoma. So it's like, it's a 3-hour drive. We're gonna go. I'm thinking, okay, cool. I'm like, why do you need Kimberly practice? Who's showing up? And I go look at the bracket, and the first name that shows up, I'm like, Goichi. I'm like, why is Goichi coming here?
Yeah.
And then I just start scrolling.
Dude, it was
and it's
Goichi,
16
Naido,
pages
like-
of entry. I'm like, why is everyone coming here? And I was like, oh my goodness, I could have.
Yeah.
That could have been a road trip and stay at Duran's house. That could have been
watch
$100.
next year.
That could have been gas
Not be
money.
as big. Dude, I got to Colorado, and I had a rental car, but I mean, regardless, it was the same type of car as my car, and I got to Colorado on like $67 on gas. So
Yeah, that could have been a trip with the homies and stay on the floor. It could have been old school.
nah, we got bedrooms now.
Okay, baller.
From Evo past of I don't remember it wasn't my first Evo. I think it was our second Evo, and we were all in like this room together. There was like 6 to 8 of us. I mean, we're poor. It's like we were not poor, but like we were kids. You know what I mean? Like we're working and going to school at the same time, and everyone was like, "Yo, we want to go to Evo," and we went. And like I remember we brought like inflatable
Yes.
beds that
Yeah.
you take into the pool.
Yeah, we went into Walmart and got the like the $2 pool floats and blew them up and used it as like a makeshift air mattress to sleep on.
Hey, it was better than sitting on the floor, man.
And then it was like, who got early pools? So like someone goes early pools and they have the bed spot. You're waiting for them to go to their pool so you can just jump in the bed.
Yeah. Oh man,
That's awesome. I did not know you worked for DreamHack. That's so you said 2019.
Yeah.
We all know what happened ish around 2019. So what happened
Shortly thereafter.
COVID time?
Yeah. So like I said, it was an amazing job in 2019. You know, first ever Dallas show. We had a record-breaking year in Atlanta that year too, which I think might still be the biggest fighting game event that they've done in Atlanta too, as far as DreamHacks are concerned. It was an awesome time. And then, as you can imagine, working in live events in 2020 just doesn't work out. But I was really fortunate. You know, I was able to land on my feet and end up at a startup that was really focused around the creator economy. And I was transitioning from marketing work to sales work. I was head of business development for that startup. And what was really cool about that job was it was very eye-opening for me. I thought that, you know, if we go back to my, you know, post-college life, enterprise level software sales versus gaming, I was thinking that the problem was like, oh, I just hate sales. I don't want to do sales. Sales sucks. And what I realized is, oh, like sales doesn't suck. Sales sucks when I have to sell something I just don't care about. Like, and if I don't have any passion for it, how am I supposed to sell it?
Absolutely.
Right? And so that role was really formative because it taught me, like, hey, like, I like this and I think I'm pretty good at it as long as it is something that I truly care about. Eventually, I ended up finding my way to Panda afterwards. Again, an incredible job until it wasn't, for sure. I worked with, you know, one of the best teams I've ever worked with. Learned a ton from my boss, Dave Riggs, our buddy Nick, who you know, Sherry Simonson. All of those folks definitely molded me a ton to be who I am today. And then eventually, one job later, I found myself at RTS, which is just the best job ever. Like, I'm just gonna be straight with you. What I'm working on right now is the best job ever. So for context, right? I do, you know, I'm a partnership sales manager at RTS, and as a peek behind the curtain, folks may or may not know this, but RTS owns Evo with Sony PlayStation. We own it together in a joint venture and have since I believe mid 2021, if I want to guess.
Sounds about
That
right.
sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, and so y'all as longtime Evo attendees, I hope have kind of seen some of the differences that have taken place since Evo has had that new ownership. We've been really fortunate to have Rick as our general manager. He's been able to make sure that we are staying super true to the roots of the fighting game community while just improving the entire back end experience of it. So everything, if you're wondering why, like operationally and organizationally, it's much better now than it's been in the years past. That's because of that team, right? That's because they're able to throw the proper resources at the event and whatnot. With my role at RTS, 90% of my job is focused around Evo, right? And so what I'm really trying to focus on, especially for this year, is to build out more of what we would call FGC adjacencies, right? So what are the things that folks who are fighting game players, when they're not playing Tekken, when they're not playing Street Fighter, when they're not playing, Guilty Gear or any fighting game, what are they doing? Well,
Mhm.
we know for a fact that they're really into anime, right?
Of course,
They're
yeah.
really big into sneaker culture, streetwear, hip hop music, the whole nine yards, right? And so, especially for me as somebody that comes from this audience, I think a lot about what I would find cool, what the folks that I, interacted with and my buddies in the scene would find cool. And then I simply connect the dots, right? It's all about, essentially building relationships with brands and partners that have never taken a look at fighting games before, and in many cases have never taken a look at gaming, period, and helping essentially be the storyteller, right? I think honestly, a lot of my job now has a lot of similarities, even with my days of casting, because back whenever I was a caster, I spoke a lot to the uninitiated audience. And now it's a lot of that too, right? It's a lot of taking somebody who maybe does not understand what they're seeing on screen, does not understand the fighting game community super
Mhm.
well, and convincing them why it's so important, why it's so unique and special, and hopefully, giving them that opportunity to fall in love with it the way that I have, the way that everybody on this call has, and I'm sure the way that most people listening to this podcast have as well.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, first of all, I thought maybe you were like in my house. Are you watching my cameras? Because you just like anime, street culture, hip hop. I was like, damn, this dude, if he'd have said barbecue, I'd have just got up and left because that's me to a T. Like literally everything you just talked about.
Uh,
I will say like it, because I think my first Evo was 2008. What was the year it was at Caesars? It was only at Caesars
it
one
was
year.
either 08 or 09, I think.
Yeah, so that was my first ever Evo. So like I've probably been to like 7 or 8 now. So we were gonna go this year. I don't think we're gonna be able to swing it because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
still like I'm looking for full time work.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing some contract stuff. But we wanted to go. But like I saw because we went last year. Last year I had a blast. Don't get me wrong. But I will say the one of the things that kind of sucked last year is we didn't get to watch finals because finals sold out. The arena
Yeah.
sold out and people couldn't get in. And it was like that was the first time ever. And it wasn't like I intentionally did it, but it was like I registered and it was like, oh, I'll come back and get finals tickets a month or so before, like I always do, kind of thing. And then you go up there and it was sold out. And it was just like,
Yeah, that was funny.
damn.
Yeah, I haven't been back in a while. I've been going since when my first Evo? 05. 05 was my first Evo. The first year was in Vegas. Yeah, that's the first year was in Vegas. We were at Green Valley Ranch, I think, off strip. Didn't go nowhere near the strip. I was 18, and luckily I was tall because they didn't say anything about me being at the casino floor. So I didn't get carded. But yeah, it's like to see the people like because again I've been around for a long time. I've been a nerd. I was on IRC, so I know a lot of the like I know Cannons, Mark,
Yeah.
Walter,
Yeah.
Tragic when he was on like. He still hits me up for games. I hate how good he is at new games, but but like yeah. So to see because we kind of saw the transition from this is what it was grassroots, few hundred people when you could you enter a game just to help out. I didn't play CVS2 competitively, but I entered because it was extra $10. Who cares? They need some numbers.
Yeah.
And to MLG getting in, and we're over here, we're booing the Halo players because why are you here in our spot? And we're booing the Smash players because why are you here in our spot?
Yeah.
And to see it go from that to we're on the strip, and then it went to a little too far left to the convention to where it's like this does not feel anything like it was before to where we're looking for games and we can't find games, we can't warm up to where now Rick's in charge, and I trust Rick because I've been to Combo Breaker, and honestly, I tell people if you can only go to one and you're focused on playing, go to Combo Breaker. If you haven't been to Evo and you can swing and go to Evo, but I'm like, if you're focused on playing, Combo Breaker is the best tournament I've ever been to for playing.
Yeah.
And to
For people
see
that don't know,
them to
Rick
go
did
over,
like he was the behind the scenes on Combo Breaker, so you're seeing a lot of that stuff kind
Yeah.
of move over from Combo Breaker into Evo. And I completely agree with what Chris is saying. Like, if I'm bringing my wife with me, I'm going to Evo.
Yeah.
If I'm going to just play and be a part of the FGC, I'm going to Combo Breaker because it's just like a different experience. Like, I love Evo. Evo is by far my favorite tournament because the best thing about Evo is when you're out, it's Vegas. Like, there's so much shit to do that, like, just go do something. You know, you're gonna have a good time regardless. So it is cool to see a lot of like the Combo Breaker stuff kind of coming into Evo. Like, even if I can't make it this year, I'm still seeing if we can. Even if I can't, like, having finals just be in the same all one ticket venue thing, like, yes, that's what it needs to be. Because, like, and the convention center being open on Friday because some people want to watch finals and some people like, yo, I still just want to do convention
I'm one of those
stuff.
people.
Like,
I'm like, once I saw it the first time, and I loved it the first time. I'm not gonna lie, because it was the first year of Dragon Ball, and we were all yelling
the cell
out.
yell,
Yes, I still had the video, and we're just like, yeah. So
yeah, you screaming the
but
cells.
I've been doing it so long, so it's like when it's at this point, I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to see that again. I want to watch it, but I don't need to be in there. So to be like, oh, the venue's still open? Yeah, I'm gonna go see who's salty that they didn't make tops, who didn't get top 6, and see who's willing to play and stuff like that.
Well, I think
so
it's also
that's
cool
where
too
I'm hyped for it. So I probably won't swing it this year too, because again, we married, so you know, for me
and they live
the
in
wife,
Colorado.
yeah, for me
so.
and the wife, you know, we can't just be like, we're not gonna bum it, you know, you gotta do it up, and so it's like it probably a little prohibitively cost effective, but we'll see in a couple, you know, we'll be back for sure. And like I said, to see all the changes, it definitely gives a lot of, like, it felt like it was going too far left and it wasn't gonna come back, and then to see, you know, Rick at the helm, and of course, again, the people that we trust, like well, I told him when the Mad Cats came out, I was like, no, Mark Man works there, bro. Wait, and he was like, Mad Cats? I'm like, wait,
no.
my man Mark is
not
there.
Buying no Mad
And he was
stuff.
like, wait, and then the TV comes out. So you know, we people who have a track record we trust. So it's like, just show me, and it's to go from, again, I had 2018 was the last year I went. I was like, I'm good on Evo. I'm not coming back. And then he takes over, and Narango is like, you gotta come back. And I'm like,
sure.
now.
You haven't been to like the new era.
No, I haven't. The first year I was like, let me
man.
see. I was like, I gotta see what Rick's gonna do first. I trust him, but also I'm like, maybe, you know, maybe his hands are tied. Sony's sponsoring, that kind of thing. So I was like, let me see what happens. And then people came back and it's like, nah, Evo's Evo again. I'm like, okay. And then pandemic, and then last year I didn't have I was freelancing. I didn't have a full-time gig last year, so I couldn't swing it. And this year, now we're just swinging into this year, trying to catch up. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I hadn't been excited for Evo in a while. And now I'm sad about missing it again. And I hadn't been sad. The last maybe 3 years, I was like, okay, I missed it, whatever. I'm going to try to hit one of these other tournaments I had missed. And now I'm like, damn, I'm about to miss Evo. I know it's going to be hype.
I'm so sad I'm missing Evo.
Yeah, it's this year's going to be crazy too, because as you know, we're moving from the Mandalay Bay and Michelob Ultra Arena to the West Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center. If you haven't been there before, it is a beautiful new convention center.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's
we were at the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the new one. We were at the old one. I remember the old one.
So, yeah, that's because that was when we started doing Street Fighter 5. I think that's when they moved to the old one. Yeah.
Yeah,
so we thought we were killing it. We thought we were killing it in that one. It's like, man, look at all the cement and Lupe. When we caught Lupe on my birthday, we caught Lupe on my birthday. I was looking for him all day. It was literally my 30th
I don't think I've
birthday.
ever seen Chris so happy. I have this one picture. I still have it of him, and Chris is standing there with Lupe, and he's got like this pink tank top on. It's the Illuminati tank top.
Yeah,
they're anime Illuminati.
Yeah,
and he's just standing there, just the biggest grin.
It was like literally.
Incredible.
I was not going to go to Evo. I was somewhat freshly broken up with my ex at the time. I was not going to go. And everyone's like, yo, just go. And I literally was like, well, let me see. I got a ticket to fly back Sunday. So I'm like, and it was my 30th birthday that day. And Lupe is one of, if not my favorite rappers. And I'm looking for him all day. And I could not.
And he just ran. We were sitting on the floor, Like we were watching matches sitting on the floor,
Yeah.
and Chris is like, "Yo, there's Lupe. I'm gonna see if I can get a picture." So I'm getting up
I
to take
ran
the
him down.
picture. Yeah,
I was
it was
literally
great
like, "Yo,
though.
it's my birthday. Can I get a picture?" He's like, "Where's the camera at?" And Duran comes out the crowd with his phone ready. Didn't do
Yeah.
me like I did him with Fudo.
Oh man, it was bad. No, it was Mago.
No, it was Fudo. Or what? No, I'm pretty sure it was Fudo. It was Fudo, and the picture looked like it was in focus on the back of my camera screen.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah,
get
yeah.
to
I
my
remember that. Yeah.
laptop, and then pull up on the laptop. You could see the whole Rocket Burger menu behind him.
I remember that. Yeah.
You could read it pin sharp. Him and Fudo blurry as. And I was like, I felt so bad. Like, we might be able to go catch him again. He's like, nah, it's okay.
I will
felt
say
so
huge
bad.
shout outs to whoever decided to make the venue 3 days. And the reason I say this, because I don't even know if like this was thought about, because like when you go as a player, like you're there and you're playing, and like that's what like so like last year was my wife's first year going to Evo, and her brother met us there because he lives in Vegas and all
Mhm.
this. So we went and they had a blast, but like they didn't understand because like I was playing, but then even when I wasn't playing, I was watching my friends play
Right.
kind of thing. So if you're not a player, you're there to experience Evo and you're buying stuff and it's a convention. So oftentimes like by the time I'm ready to go do convention stuff, it's Sunday
Right.
and
Yeah.
the convention's closed.
Yep.
So it's like I'm out, I'm not watching my homies play anymore. I'm not worried about, what time's this person's pool at? Where are you going to be at? And then Sunday comes around, I'm like, dude, I just want to go walk around and relax and like check out the venue, and like don't get to kind of really do that on Friday and Saturday because you do have that like, oh, like I made it out of pools. I never in my life would thought I'd have made it out of pools, and I made it out of pools, and I
You
played
got a
on
burrito
Saturday.
card?
I got a burrito card. I did.
Nice. Yeah.
So, and that was like the first time ever. No, I take that back. Second time. But I mean, that's what it is. When you're a player, it's a different mindset than versus somebody that's just going because it's Evo kind of thing. And we rolled so deep last year. I think we had probably 20 plus Colorado
Nice.
people there, and like that happens, but not like that to that extent. So it was literally like us trying to run around to see, oh, what time's your pool? What time's yours? What time? And then like getting done and being like, all right, let's go grab something to eat somewhere, and then like still trying to do Evo and Vegas stuff at the same time. So like Sunday, like we ended up watching finals at her brother's house, which was still
Right.
fine. We had a good time, but it was just like, oh man, it would have been cool to still walk around and not like
Yeah.
have my arcade stick with me and trying to get shit done. And so like once I heard that, I was like, dude, this is great. Yes, that was like my favorite announcement. That and like the venue just being all one venue kind of thing, because it was like finals is cool. Don't get me wrong, but like just having it in one room is like. That's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be hype and loud, and because even when I TO, I do the same thing. Like, I would like top 8 would happen, and I would turn off all the setups in the venue and be like, "Hey, you guys are gonna watch top 8 of this game because these people worked really hard to get here."
It is literally
kind
still
of
called
thing.
in Colorado the Duran rule.
Yeah, because like that's just what it was to me.
Because
Like,
I'm the same. I'm definitely in the back. I'm like, if I'm not in finals, I'm salty. I'm not in finals. I'm in the back getting games in, and I would be salty too. I'm a TO with Duran. I'm like, this is our tournament. We're running together. It's literally called Bromance. We've been running it for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this nigga over here got me turned off. I'm over here trying to get these salty casuals over here. So,
yeah,
and he's like,
that's how I always thought. Like these people busted their ass to get to this top 3 grand finals kind of area. At least we can do is turn everything off and have everybody hype and be
Right.
excited to watch them kind of thing.
Yeah,
So, all right, but let's get back on track. I think this was a great conversation. So I want to hear more. So are you like you're in the esports? Can you tell me more about it? Something that like did you? I'm assuming you never saw yourself getting to this
Oh,
kind
never.
of thing.
Never.
So I think having a significant other just giving you that encouragement, because that's how like my wife is too. Like she's mad at me if I'm not playing Street Fighter. She's like, you said you were gonna play and you don't play, and I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just right now I just don't play kind of thing. But like, so I like. I'm trying to think like how do I want to word this? Like give words of encouragement to people, because like you're essentially it's pretty rare.
You're the dream.
Yeah, you're living the dream. Like
You're the
it's pretty
dream.
rare for people to like say I want to do something in esports and something that I'm super passionate about, and like you achieved that. So any words of advice or maybe path acknowledgement that you can give where somebody's like, hey, I really want to do this, Like, I'm sure you have people ask you that. So what do you tell them?
Yeah, I have to say again, I did not walk this path alone by any means. I would not have gotten here if it wasn't for the kindness of so many people that extended an opportunity, and me being lucky enough to have had those opportunities along the way. Having stated that, some general advice that I would give folks, overall, um, people when they want to do things in gaming and esports, for some reason, especially like on the event side, want to do something really big. I want to throw the biggest event that this city has ever seen for gaming, right? I want to fill out uh, this entire football arena, right? I've especially when I was at DreamHack, I fielded so many calls that had folks that were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed that would have that sort of verbiage. Um, and what I would often challenge people to do instead is to start really small, like
Mm,
as small as you can, right? Does it mean, hey, like I would like to TO at a local? That's a decent place to start. Does it mean, hey, like there's a gaming event that's coming to town? Can I potentially volunteer or find a small contract role there? That's a great place to start. I think that when it comes to gaming, one of my industry friends joked that it's like the same 200 people in different rooms, right? It's a big space, but it's not quite as big as you'd think it is. And so if you're able to just make yourself present, and keep showing up, even in small ways, the right folks will
mm,
notice eventually, right? As so long as you continue to do good work, you continue to ask, like, hey, like, what else can I do? How else can I get involved?
yeah.
The other side that, on the flip side, the other thing that I'd be very cautious of as well is kind of tied to the fact that, gaming is one of those quote unquote dream jobs. As
Yeah.
a result of that, there are lots of organizations that are very predatory and will see you as a means to work you to death and give you nothing really in return for that.
Mhm.
So try to think really critically about, the kinds of organizations you want to align yourself with, the kinds of people you want to align yourself with, and thinking also ahead, like, okay, like, what am I learning and what am I gaining from this experience overall? Be able to ask yourself that consistently.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be able to find some really great, really kind people, the way that I was fortunate enough to find some really great, really kind people that will, open the right doors for you and
Yeah, I
whatnot.
think it's also about like attitude as well. Cause
Mm.
like, I mean, we met like through a mutual friend. We were literally at a movie and like I had a conversation with JV and it was like, I've talked to this dude a million times, is what it felt like. Like just being honest. Like, and I think that kind of personality and being open, stuff like that helps tremendously. Because I mean, that's even at like a player level. Like, cause I
Mhm.
remember like this past Evo, one of my favorite players of all time is Kizzy K, for people that don't know.
Best. He's the best.
Yeah,
I
and
loved
like
working with him when I was at
so
Panda.
when I
Just
moved to
the best.
Texas, I stopped playing fighting games seriously for probably 6 years. Like I played with a buddy at work, like we would, play on Fridays, just have a good time. But like I didn't go to tournaments or anything like that. And I randomly like ran into like Kizzy's stream one night and he was playing Guilty Gear. I'm not even a Guilty Gear player. And like I got so into Guilty Gear and I got back into fighting games and it just so happened to happen like right as Strive was coming out, right as Street Fighter 6 was getting announced and stuff like that. So like I kind of look at it and I go like, oh, Chris got me into fighting games, and then Kizzy got me wanting to play competitively again, kind of thing. And like I will never forget because I've met a lot of top players, and this is not like a flex or anything like that, but like I've met a lot of top players, and like it's really weird because a lot of top players are it's hit or miss. Like sometimes you get them in a good mood, sometimes you get them in a bad mood, and it's hard too because like you don't want to be mean, but like you're wanting to see them and introduce yourself and things like that, and you might walk up to them and they just got knocked out and you had no idea, and you're just like, dude, I was just excited to see you, and you got knocked out of the tournament. I had no idea, dude. Like, and I remember this was like a huge Twitter conversation where people were talking about like, don't come up to me after I got knocked out of a tournament, and people were like, dude, I don't live your life. Like I don't know you were knocked out. I was over here doing stuff, kind of thing.
We were
To
walking
be
through the
fair,
hotel and we saw you and we said hi.
Yeah.
to be fair, it was last Evo. This is before I was working at RTS and whatnot. I did see. I think it was a group of like very nice young fans behind Brian F, and he had lost a very close set, and
Yeah.
you could see like the steam coming from him. I've been there. Like I know what that L feels like, and I saw one of them get the phone out, and I was like,
Oh no.
just give him some space. Trust me, you don't want to take, you
Yeah.
don't want to ask him for a picture right now. He's like, really? He's like, yeah, like.
Yeah.
Imagine you suffered like the worst heartbreak of your entire life. Would you really want somebody to come up and ask you for a selfie?
Right, for sure. But I remember like, so I finally got to meet Kizzy last year, and I met him, and I was like, dude, I was trying to track him down, and like I found his pool, and for Street Fighter, and like I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I don't know, like my name's I'm Duran, I'm Dr. Digital in your streams, and he's like, oh hey man, like well I first originally walked up to him and I said, hey, are you about to play your match? And he's like, yeah, I'm getting on here soon. And I was like, oh, I'll come back, because that was my mindset. I was like, I don't want to be that person where like, oh, they just got eliminated or they're about to play and like, you're trying to get your A game on kind of thing. And he was like, no, hell no, come over here, man. What's up? And like he was just the chillest dude, and like just having that interact. It's almost like when people say like you never want to meet your heroes kind of thing, and then you finally meet him and you're like, yo, this dude he was like super chill, he was like me kind of thing. And like, so I mean, it was so dope to like find somebody on a stream and like just be like, oh, I was just casually watching him one night, and then like, oh, I'm still sub to him this day, like going on like 2 or 3 years, and then to finally meet him and just for him to be like, no man, come over here, what's up dude, and I got like, I got a picture with him and all sorts of stuff, and it was just dope. Like it was just cool to have that interaction, and it's kind of rare to see that, because like you do see the opposite side of the coin too, and that's the hardest thing about FGC, because it is like the conversation we had at the beginning where it is like the hardest thing about fighting games, in my opinion, compared to any other esports game. We talked about this a little bit before we started, having this conversation. It's like the wins and losses are just on you.
Yep.
So you win, you're on top of that peak, man. You're on Everest. You lose, you're coming down off that peak as well. And you can't blame it on other people. You can't be like, oh, well, you didn't flank, or you didn't ult here, or you didn't do this. And it's just like, bro, the only person you're mad at is yourself.
Exactly. Or the character select.
Or the game.
This brain dead character.
I didn't do this.
No, but like, I think, and what's wild about that too, like we talked about it a bit before the podcast, but like that taking 100% of the W's and 100% of the losses, like if you're somebody that's consistently comfortable there, it will have very strong effects on you in your personal life. If you can wrangle it, it can be very strong positive effects on you in your personal life in particular, because it teaches you about a competitive drive and actually actively learning and getting better versus what I would consider more passive learning and kind of floundering. It's a beautiful thing, and it's tricky, because if I have to look at the macro of fighting games as a whole, the big challenge is that very few people are like us. Most people don't want to take 100% of the L, right? Taking an L sucks. It's horrible. The beauty of a multiplayer game is when you win, you get to take, even if you didn't do the carry, you still get to feel like you carry and you got 100%. And anytime you lose, it's not your fault. It's that brain dead far on your team that kept feeding, right? Like,
I always think of like group projects when you're in school. And like you have this awesome team and they did all this work and you just signed your name with them and you're like, yeah, that's my
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely help with the coding on that website in my HTML class. Yep, I do that. Right? Like I barely helped at all. I helped with a little bit of CSS, but I got that my name's on that project.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that's very interesting to me about what Riot is cooking with Project L in particular, right?
I'm excited for Project L, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible game. On top of it introducing Riot's 100 million plus player base to the FGC, which is, I mean, you think this year's Evo is going to be big? Like when that game drops, that Evo is going to be insane.
Oh my god! I don't like. Just hit us in Discord like a month before, so we can at least try to get some rooms, because it's gonna be it's gonna be bananas, bro. Like
that's gonna be crazy. I actually took the reverse mindset. So like once I saw Project L got announced, I was never a League player. I still don't play League. Like the wife and I fight against like CPU AI kind of thing. But like we got into it because I was so excited for Project L that I was like, oh, when this game comes out, I actually want to know what the hell is going on and like have character, because like I'm a character loyalist. I play characters, I don't play tiers. That's how I've always been. So like, oh, Echo's my favorite lead character, and like he's in Project L and stuff like that. So it was just like, oh man, like the Echo trailer launched, and I was so excited because I
Yeah.
was like, dude, this is who I play in the game, and like it's just cool to see, and like now I'm excited for Project L, and I'm like, yep, he's on the team for sure. And I think I also think that the FGC is doing better at being open-minded, because I remember when it first kind of got announced, it was like, oh, simple inputs, and everybody was like, oh, I don't want to play
Yeah,
because it's simple inputs, and it's just
of
like, just
course.
wait, man,
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
just wait.
I'm definitely a little bit more open-minded now. I'm not like excited, but that's honestly because I have no care about League. But I'm definitely watching because, of course, everyone involved. They got the
Yeah,
cannons. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know if I want to play a game where Kyohei has battle input like that. Like, do I trust what Marlin Pie thinks is simple? I don't know.
Marlon Pie and Clockwork work on it,
Marlin
right?
Pie Clockwork's on it.
Apology
Yahosi's
Man
working on
too.
it.
An Apology Man, yeah.
Yeah, fucking Venice on it. Nerd Josh is on it. Like, there's so many like people that are like involved. Fucking Aaron, aka, is working on it. I didn't know that till I saw some TikToks recently. He's a longtime Guilty Gear player. So the people who play games that are complicated, like Marvel and Dragon Ball and Guilty Gear, are all involved with this on top of the canons obviously involved. So I'm a little like, first thing I heard, I was like, come on now, this is gonna be like Dungeon Fighters gonna disappear like here, and then I'm like, oh, okay, hold up, we see some people here now. Now I'm like, I probably don't want to play it because it's gonna be so crazy that
Yeah.
me and my old wrist might have to stick to some Street Fighter, because when the game is Clockwork and Marlin Pie are battle designers, I'm like, I don't know if I got that. I'm wearing compression sleeves as is.
Yeah,
But
we
it'll be
both
fun to
suffer from the.
commentate.
Yeah, there you go. We both suffer from old man
I
hands, so
got
maybe it'll be
my
hard.
little
but-
compression glove right here, and I got a sleeve in the because I'm like getting sore after playing, and now I'm like, oh
I
man.
actually this just showed up today. I was watching the YouTube, and the short came on, and it's a gyro ball, and you actually like put it in your hand and you rotate it back, and then it starts spinning, and you use your wrist to keep it going.
Oh dang, yeah.
So it's actually meant to strengthen your hand, and that's what like the whole thing on it is, like 1 minute, one healthy hand. And like I follow these people because it was randomly, it's like Action Sports or Esports or something like that, and they do a bunch of like
Hmm.
strength training kind of things, like
Yeah.
as an esports athlete, because people don't think about that stuff, where it's like, hey, yeah, exactly, like people just don't think about, having to play and having, my back kind of hurts, or oh, my
Yeah.
elbow hurts, or
There's-
my hand hurts. Like I don't know how Smash people don't have carpal tunnel, straight up, because
Oh,
like
they do.
at least like when we're playing, our hands are out and it's just kind of
Yeah.
wrist kind of thing, but they're doing like controller micro kind of stuff. So it's like,
I hope controller is too hard as is just playing Assassin's Creed. I'm gripping.
right.
Imagine I'm in a tournament, bro.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how to
Wave
do it,
dashing?
man.
I don't like wave dashing in Tekken, let alone in Smash when I gotta hit button like a button. No.
All right, so we're almost to the hour mark, and with JV and I living in Texas, we got to talk about some barbecue at least.
Oh yeah. Gotta talk
So
BBQ.
I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but I bought my house a few years ago, and one of the main reasons I bought my house is because I wanted to smoke meat. I know that sounds so bad. I wanted a garage so I could park my damn car because I was tired of being under like awnings and things like
Sure,
that.
yeah.
I wanted a backyard so we can get a dog, and I wanted a backyard so I could smoke meat. I got all three of those now. So for y'all that don't know, barbecue out in Texas is absolutely massive. I'd probably say it is probably close to Kansas City. Is probably barbecue nation in America.
I'll take it
Capital,
over
probably.
Kansas City at this point, honestly.
Yeah. So like it's so
If Nick
big
is-
out
if
here.
Nick's mad about
Sound
that.
like fighting words over there. I don't have a dog in the fight, so I'm just here to instigate.
Nick's gonna have to hold
Yo,
100% of
Kansas
that
City,
L,
they
man.
talking greasy, bro. You don't let them talk
Well, I
like
mean,
that?
here,
They said the
look,
sauce is trash.
I am
Kansas
not
City.
picking on Kansas City. All I'm saying is Texas barbecue. You don't need to put sauce on it for it to be good.
Exactly. Yep.
Just saying.
Yep. Facts.
Ooh. I wouldn't let them talk to me like that if I were you, Kansas City.
So
I'm
it's so
saying.
big out here that Texas actually has like an annual list of like barbecue joints, like ranking, and we
Yeah.
actually have, because JV's pretty close to me. He's in North Lake. I'm in Fort Worth, which is about 20-25 minutes from each other. And I know we for a fact have two of the top 5 split because we have Goldies
Hmm.
and then we have Panther City, right?
Yeah, Panther City I think was ranked I think 10 or 9 if I remember right
Okay,
on
so
the
two in
list.
the top 10, and they're all about 20,
Dude.
25 minutes from me. So I have yet to go.
Me
And the reason
either?
I haven't gone to either. So I want to go to Goldies, and I watched a documentary on Goldies. Cool thing that I actually really like about Goldies as well is they're a big Smash
Yes.
facility. So it sounds like I need to get with JV, and we need to
No,
go to
you do.
Goldies.
I'm friends with Johnny, who's one of the owners and pitmasters over there at Goldie's, because we met when I was waiting in line. I found out
That's
that he was
funny.
really into Smash. I pulled up with the Panda adapter, and I said, "You want to run a set?" And he was like, "Oh, this thing's really cool." I was like, "You want one?" So I just
Nice.
I gave him one. Yeah. No,
Hey,
Goldie's is incredible. It is by
yeah, I
far
still
and
want to
away.
go, but like I just don't want to like. It's so serious out here for people that don't know. Like, so say a joint opens up at 11. The way they work out here is like once they're out of meat, they're closed. Like,
Yeah.
it could be 2 in the afternoon, bro. And if they're out, they're out. Like, it's not a like, oh, we're open 11 to 8, come by anytime kind of thing. So but the problem with that is if you're going to places like Goldie's, like, bro, you got to be there at like 7:30, 8 a.m. and you're standing and sitting in line waiting
Bro.
for that shit to
You're doing
open
meat
at 11.
drops?
Yeah, bro.
You guys
Dude,
are
no,
doing
but
meat
but
drops?
it's the coolest thing for me. Like I call me crazy, but I love how
I feel like I'm
for
gonna
the
call you
people barbecue is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is the most for the people
crazy.
food.
Okay, I feel you. It's not
Of,
like
like,
they're not there. You know, it's the way sneakers used to be.
Yeah, let me put it this way. There was somebody who went to Goldie's for the first time, um, waited in line like everybody else on a Friday afternoon, and when they were getting checked out by the front staff at Goldie's, the girl at the counter said, "Holy shit, you're John Hamm." Literally, John Hamm from Mad Men pulled
Yo,
up to
that's
Goldie's
cool.
like 2
Just
months
standing in
ago,
line, like,
and he waited in line and
didn't
everything.
special treatment or anything.
Yeah,
He was
no
like, I'm
special
gonna wait for my
treatment, anything.
barbecue.
Yeah. I've only seen special treatment one time for barbecue, and I think that was Obama when he visited Franklin.
That's a little
Probably
different.
like 12 years. Which, look,
I
I
get that.
fucking get it. I get it.
I
He's,
get it.
he's
Hey,
leader of the free
I love
world.
Obama, but he had
That he-
held up Evo.
he-
Held up Evo, bro.
No, maybe he had a Secret Service agent camped out at like 6 a.m., right? So it was
Right.
fine. But
We did go to a barbecue joint in Lubbock. I don't remember the name of it,
oh,
but it
yeah,
was
no.
by far my favorite like restaurant barbecue place I've been to
That's
so
Evie
far.
Mays. That's Evie
Yeah,
Mays.
Evie Mays. That's it.
Yeah,
Evie Mays. It was so good. They had a beef rib, dude.
Yes.
I don't even know how to describe it because like you think of like barbecue and it's like, yo, it like melted in my mouth. And I know that sounds so weird because it's meat and you're like, that shouldn't do that. But like, that's what it did. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Evie Mays is a phenomenal spot. I haven't had a chance to go yet, but it's also a top 10 joint.
yeah, it's great. We were out there for because Oregon played Texas Tech last year, and I'm a big Oregon fan. And one of the guys I used to work with graduated from Tech, so we went out there and met some of his friends. And I was like, "Yo, we have a really good barbecue joint out here." And I'm like, "Yo, forget this burger joint," because Nick was talking about some burger joint. I can't remember the name of it. And like we went, and it was fine, but I was like, "Y'all got barbecue out here? Like, what are we doing?" So we got that early that Saturday because it was a Saturday
Yeah.
primetime game. We went and ate and came. Everybody came back, took a power nap, and then we went to this game. So it sounds like we need to plan either Goldie's or Panther City or something this summer because
Yeah.
we don't have the kids for the summer. And that's part of the reason too, is because like we have 2 kids and like the kids are here. Like I want them to either go. I'm not gonna go by myself because it's the whole
Sure,
point
yeah.
is like being with a friend, you know, kind
Yeah.
of thing and shooting the shit, waiting to get in. So we definitely got to plan a day to either. I still want to go to Goldie's. Goldie's is still top of my
Oh, yeah.
list just because I've never been and like I mean it's #1 ranked in Texas. It's like
That means it's the best in the world,
Oh, it's number
as far as
one.
I'm
Nice.
concerned.
yeah.
That
So
list, by the way, only comes out once every 4 years. It's as close to Michelin stars as we get in
Man.
Texas. So
Yeah.
to
Kansas City, are
be
you hearing this? And they didn't
Yeah.
even mention South Carolina. Damn. How
Nope,
y'all feel about
sure
that?
did it.
How y'all feel
I
about
mean,
that?
it's a you know, I got no
would feel a way
disrespect
about
for
that.
I got no disrespect for whole pig barbecue. I think that what Rodney Scott's cooking up is incredible, but Texas diff. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, I'm gonna eat it regardless. We can go to
Yeah.
Kansas City, South Carolina. We can go to Memphis. or wherever. I'm gonna eat it regardless,
Thank you,
so it don't
Memphis.
matter.
I knew it was Tennessee. I couldn't remember what city it was, so
Yeah,
I didn't want to
Memphis
mention. I knew it was South Carolina.
or
That's
Nashville, same.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask JV because you said you just got your smoker.
Sure.
So have you gone to a place that you used to like,
Oh,
and now since you make your own, you go there and you're like, it's still good, but I kind of like what I do better myself. And that's the problem I ran into. Like I go to
Okay.
places and like, oh man, they're still good. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy them, but like, I'm like, man, I could have made this at home. You
Yeah,
know?
I want to be really clear. Like, I think that there's like levels to barbecue, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And me, I am at the very bottom of the totem pole. Okay,
Hey,
I
every
just
great journey
started
starts
cooking
some.
my own meats. Yeah, exactly. So it's very tough for me to go to a place and say I can, hold my beer. I can do better than this. I'm not quite at that level yet. Having stated that, I'm lucky that I've been blessed with an abundance of great barbecue. I guess it comes with living near Fort Worth at this time. And as a result, there are some places that are putting out such a high level of craft that it's putting everybody else on notice, right? Um, there's one spot in particular that comes to mind that's a newer spot called Sabar Barbecue. Um, this is opened up by somebody who actually used to work at Goldie's, a gentleman by the name of Zain. Um, and Zain's very unique because he's Pakistani, he's Muslim, and it was a situation where, if I'm getting the lore correct, when he was at Goldie's after hours, he'd be experimenting with different spices and
oh,
mixes and things like
nice.
that, and trying to introduce some of the flavorings that he grew up with from a seasoning standpoint into more traditional Texas barbecue. And the Goldie's folk were like, "Your stuff is too good. Like, you got to get out of here, dude." And they helped him open up a truck and everything like that. And they've been super supportive of him. His spot is only open on Saturdays. It's one
I
of the
see this.
few.
I'm looking it up right now. I
Yeah,
ain't gonna lie.
it's one of the few spots that is a craft barbecue place that also happens to be halal. I
Nice.
have no food
Nice.
restrictions, but that's really great news for
Yeah.
my buddy Nabil, who I mentioned at the top of this call, the one who
Mhm.
I casted with way back when, because he's Muslim, right? And it's really great being able to bring him to a spot where it's like the whole joint's halal, right? So
Nice.
everything that they do is super good. I would not be surprised if that place gets top 10 or very close to top 10 when
Ooh,
the
it's only
next rankings
15
come out
minutes from
next
me.
year. Yeah, it's incredible. Um, and yeah, like it's super unique in terms of the seasonings. Because it's a halal joint, they don't have pork ribs. Instead, they have these Szechuan lamb ribs, which are unbelievable. Uh, like this cumin sausage, which is incredible, and even their sides, man. They do a dal fruit
Yeah.
shot for sides, man. Like that's crazy.
I feel like
Uh,
I'm gonna go get a barbecue
yeah,
this weekend.
and
I'm a
that's
little upset right now because I'm gonna have to do a little research. I don't know what's good out. I don't know what's good out here. I'll be a dick here.
no,
Yeah, I
man.
couldn't tell you any Colorado joints,
Are
man, to
you
be
are you
honest.
are you not in Texas?
He's in
No,
Colorado
I'm in
still.
Colorado.
I'm gonna save you some trouble. Nothing's good out there. Boom! Come at me, Colorado.
I mean,
I
I don't
told
know.
you,
I still care. I'm
just
gonna
a
go get me.
reason to
I'm gonna
come
go
visit
just go
Texas.
get me a breakfast burrito and call it a day.
No. Go for it. But maybe I'm just super biased. But like,
You were
I
100% super biased. Like I said, I'm here trying to instigate. I'm gonna find someone in Kansas City, and we could. Oh,
bring them out.
They
Moon
don't want this.
Marauders
Wait,
barbecue
They
off.
don't.
Let's.
They don't want the
wait.
smoke.
Just
Literally.
gonna say that they don't want the
Literally.
smoke, literally.
Like, come on.
All
But
right,
yeah.
guys, we
Oh, there
hit
we
our
go. I'll hit
hour.
up CJ. He got to know somebody. CJ's got to know somebody.
This ain't football, bro.
He'll know
We
somebody
ain't
back
talking
home.
Cowboys versus Chiefs. This is
he'll
barbecue.
he'll know somebody back home. Be like, hey, who do I need to hit up? I'm secretly trying to get on here. I'm just trying to instigate
Hey,
barbecue
just
fight.
gives y'all a reason to come to Texas.
Yeah. Just pull up.
Some barbecue. All
Yeah.
right, guys, we hit a little bit over our hour mark. It was an absolute blast to have JV on here. It was so dope just to get to hear. I mean, what a lot of people would consider a dream scenario where you do start off in commentary and just kind of work and bust your ass off to get to, an end goal. And that's just so awesome to hear because it's not like a, oh man, I wish that was me, but it's just like, yo, it's so
It
cool to
is.
know somebody that did.
It's right over here, bro. I hit up Walter. So I'm sure you know Walter
Of course. Yeah.
yeah. He's who I consider my senpai. When I started playing in '04, he's the first person I played with. I tell a story all the time. The first time we played Third Strike, I thought I knew what he was doing. He beat me 200 and something to 6, I think was the first time. And so I'll hit him up all the time. I'm like, hey, what you got going on here? I'm happy to be doing this. I'm doing photography. I'm doing videography. They need somebody. And he'll always tell me the same thing. You gotta kind of start local and build up your stuff, and then just be ready if something were to come up. So it is cool to be
Yeah.
like to see the like here's how it happened because it does happen. Like I said, I like some pops up. I'll just be like, hey, what always go? And he's over the time I've done small stuff when Red Bull was doing Conquest.
Yeah.
I was able to do a couple small things from there, and I was able to do some stuff. So like, yeah, it's literally it is over here because when I'm like, yeah, I have my day job and it pays the bills, but of course it's not what I like to do. And then
Yeah.
you see it growing and you want to get in where you fit in. So it is awesome to have you on and just talk about your journey and see
Yeah.
how the different ways you can get in there.
Yeah. Again, I'm super lucky, super lucky. But I do feel like if you are kind and you find kind people and you do good work for them, then things can happen, you know?
Yeah. I also think we're not seeing the hard work that JV put in to get where he is.
Oh, of course,
So he met a
yeah.
lot of kind people along the way, but I'm pretty sure he busted his ass a lot too to, get where he's at kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fighting games, bro. No handouts over here.
Yeah.
We don't sandbag in games. We don't sandbag in life.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you again, JB, for joining us. It was an absolute blast tonight. I'm looking forward to rewatching this one myself because I think this is some of the best conversations we've had. Just to get kind of an insider's perspective instead of just a player level's perspective. So, any last words, guys?
I have two. Support your locals and come to Evo.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm sad I'm missing Evo, but we'll be there
Yeah.
next year for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Let's see. Oh, Akia, twitch.tv/Akihabara Arcade, twitch.tv/Jazzy Circuit. The Jazzy Third Strike finale is happening at Akihabara Arcade. It is starting June 21st, that weekend. If you enjoyed Third Strike, make sure you tune in. I'll be there filming and shooting it all. You might catch me being rusty on the sticks. You might catch me on the mic, but please support Third Strike 25th anniversary and high level tournament. Everyone gearing up because what's after right after Evo, you knew what was happening. It was 25
Yeah.
years. You knew it was going to be Third
Yeah.
Strike, and you got to preview because these are where the people who are going to be top six. You're like, hey, I don't know that guy from France who has a dope Makoto. He's going to be at the finale. Make sure you watch.
Oh yeah, and then tonight we also have SBO2, which twitch.tv/moonmarauders. It's basically our big bar fights grudge match, first to fives. So that'll be a lot of fun tonight. So you get to hear Chris on commentary. We
And
was
I'm not
just talking
playing,
about.
so I can actually focus. That wasn't why I lost last time. Whoever said that, it was not. That was not why I lost. I've commented it and played before and won. All right, that was not why I lost. I don't want to hear that. I just lost 'cause I lost.
All right, thanks again, JV. We appreciate you coming, man.
Yep. Cheers, y'all.